No, we.
Yeah, that's the latest.
It's the latest is good. The infection is held at bay. We put a ring in.
Goes, I'm sorry, who is this? And I just say,
That's all right.
I'll be there in a half an hour. I'm just going.
Where is he in a?
In his own home in South Edge.
He still lives at home.
They still have their own house and stuff. But it's
Everybody ready?
You.
Locked and loaded?
The one and the two.
That in the hat band.
Thank you.
All right. Can you hear me? Oh, it's quiet. All right. The time being 9:01 a.m., February 20th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting to order of Kane County's Public Service Committee. Clerk, please call the roll for attendance.
Right?
Right here.
Gums? She's not here. Lewis?
Here.
Sturgis?
here.
Tepe?
Tepe here.
Young?
Here.
Sanchez?
Sanchez present. Remote attendance requests. I do not have any specifically from board members, and I don't see any online that aren't here. So we'll move on. I know Ms. Gums is not going to be joining us at all today. So approval of the minutes, January 23rd, 2025. Need a motion?
Yes, for unanimous consent.
Type yes for unanimous consent to approve the minutes. Any objections?
Wait, I had one objection.
Mr. Young?
Let me bring up my notes here. Sorry.
All right.
It was just something minor. Yeah, so in the in the David Young public speaking notes, it said that the grant funds were used for election equipment, software components, and election judges. That should read, the grant funds were supposed to be used for election equipment, software components, and election judges. Is
Or
it-
would you like to make a motion to amend that?
I'd like to make a motion to amend that.
Okay,
Yes.
second on that?
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Clerk, call the roll.
Gripe,
Gripe, yes.
Lewis,
Yes.
Surges,
Yes.
Tepe,
Steffi, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes. Probably could have just done a voice vote on that one, but I'm still waking up, so we'll save some time later in the agenda. Public comment, we do have a couple people signed up to speak for public comment. We'll start with Mr. Brian Anderson.
Good morning, Brian
You have
Anderson, Sugar
45
Grove,
minutes.
Illinois.
You have 45 minutes, Mr. Anderson.
Thanks. Thanks. So I don't know if I've ever spoken this group. If I had, it's been several years, but when I pulled up the statute, it looks like this committee, jurisdiction, all matters, office, county clerk. I think that's why I'm here. So I should have been more prepared this morning, but I wanted to come and chat. So I'd have to take us back to at least, 2023, Kane County. There's 3,143 counties, if you will, in the United States. 10 counties got this amazing grant from the U.S. Alliance Election Excellence. I think $2 million. So here we are in 2025. I think that the clerk has to declare where that money's going, where is it, what's going on. I think he has until June or July of this year. So I would just encourage you, Mr. Chair, and the people on this committee, I found it interesting. So only 10 counties out of the 3,143. So let that sink in for a minute. When I was doing my research 2 years ago, at least 3 of the counties said, you know what? We don't want the money because based on where it's tied from, and I'm not going to waste everybody's time here and take us down that rabbit hole. But it was all about transparency. We're one of the best run election offices in the state, in the country. Okay, then maybe he should be transparent. Maybe there should be updates. Maybe he should be letting John Q. taxpayer know, hey, that money's been in the bank. It's not 2 million. I'm making this up. It's 2.4, 2.1. I don't know. Where's the money? What's he plan on doing with it? We know I'm not going to say broke, but we should be very, very good financial stewards going forward. And so I don't know, the 8.8 million we spent on the new election equipment, maybe I'm going to donate that for that. And I'm going off topic here for a minute, but my hope and prayer is now we have President Trump in office, and if things go as he'd like, we're federal, one day, in person, paper ballots, ID, one day, get out and vote, which will make that 8.8 million obsolete, which a group of us who've been coming here for several years, we were sharing that information back then. So I actually hope it comes to fruition because once again, everyone on this board member sits on a committee and you need to be financially a steward of the money. And after April 1st election on this referendum, depending on how it goes, I'll be coming back and talking about what we need to be doing to scrutinize every single position. Thank you. I won't use the rest of the 42 minutes, Jared. Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thank you. David Young,
How many minutes you gonna give him?
he gets 3.
He gets 3.
Be generous.
David Young. I just wanted to remind everybody in February 2023, the Kane County Clerk's Office received an award. They were named as a Center for Election Excellence. This award came with a $2 million grant from the CTCL. The CTCL means Center for Tech and Civic Life. So the clerk's office took $650,000 from the CTCL in July of 2023 and 1.35 million in December of 2023. And these grant funds if you look at the contract, the grant is supposed to be used for three things. One, key physical components like election equipment. Two, technological components like software. And three, human components like election judges. This was supposed to be spent by December. Well, it was supposed to be spent, well, by the end of last year, but it got extended to July of 2025 and is supposed to report back to the CTCL by August 31st of 2025. So I'm just curious where this money is going to be allocated. They already, as Brian mentioned, we already bought all the election equipment, the software. That already comes with the election equipment, election judges. No, that's a couple $1,000s. So I'm very curious as to where this is going to be spent. We keep asking the clerk's office when they show up as to where this money is going to be spent, and they're still figuring it out. Well, it's going to be February, and there's going to be March, April. We'll see where they put this. Now, just as a reminder, who is the CTCL? In 2020, Mark Zuckerberg donated over $400 million to this group. So if you heard this Zuckerbucks, that's what they're referring to, is the $400 million that Zuckerberg gave to the CTCL. If you look at a company called the Honest Election Report, this group stated that the CTCL has very deep ties to the Democratic Party and partisan progressive organizations. As a matter of fact, the infamous drop boxes used in the 2020 presidential election were supposedly funded by the CTCL. And the Wisconsin Supreme Court ruled that these drop boxes were illegal. As Brian mentioned, people have banned the CTCL and this private money coming in. If you look at United States, 24 states have banned the CTCL and private money coming into their clerk's offices. So personally, I request that the clerk office give back the $2 million and this cut ties with the CTCL. Thank you.
It's perfectly timed. Okay, that's it for public comments. So we'll move on. The finance report is on file as usual, as well as the recorder's report. Mr. Treasurer, Mr. Lawson.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Filed our written report about 6 days ago, no significant changes. My single point for today is that my staff and I would like to express our appreciation for the chairman and the committee's support for the work that we do in the treasurer's office. Sometimes it's been my experience over the last 12 years of being part of county government that some of the things that we do every day that are crucial to getting our job done, taken for granted. The collection of $1.5 billion through a whole team of all of us doing a good job together, 195,000 parcels. It actually is more complicated than it appears on the surface. As I've mentioned before, it's wonderful to have Mark here as part of Kane County, also in the clerk's office with John Emerson. Jack has a super person in place there. But the value of your support to all of us is that we can concentrate on what we're supposed to do in our area. So fewer distractions, more concentration means we get our job done. The biggest piece, and this is the message that I'd like to leave with you today, is in the next 4 or 5 years, we have 4 people who have, on average, more than 30 years of experience in the treasurer's office are going to be retiring. They are wonderful to work with. Maria Herrera, Carlos Mata, Della Winkler, who's been here, I think she may be approaching the 50 years like Ahmed. And then Cindy Christopher has been here a shorter period of time, but she shoulders so much responsibility. All these people have scheduled in their lives retirement. These are skilled positions. They are not easy, and there's decades worth of experience. If any of us get distracted in what we're supposed to be doing, it makes it so hard to focus on and concentrate on doing a good job. In this case, recruiting and then training people to do these important jobs that have gone smoothly for the last decades. So just wanted to thank you very much for your support from this committee. You make it pleasant to come to work, to come to these meetings, and we appreciate it.
Thank you, Treasurer Lawson. Any questions for the Treasurer's Office? None? Okay, thank you for being here. With your indulgence and with no objections, I'd like to move up the county clerk's portion of the agenda. Mr. Pollock is online. He's away at a conference, excuse me. And he's gonna have to get off soon. Mr. Pollock, are you there?
Yes, Mr. Chair, thank you.
All right, you're up.
Good morning. Thank you for that. You have a copy of our report. Do want to point out a couple things in there. I feel like I say every month it's a busy time in the clerk's office because it's always a busy time in the clerk's office. If you look at the numbers for January, we had 1,024 passports. We processed 1,000 applications. That by far blew away any record. I mean, you look back at the last 15 years here, that's more in a month than we almost had in some years at the beginning of the last decade. So it's been a very busy time with people coming in. Our staff has been incredible. They're staying late to process everything. We've had help from our election staff coming over because the lines have just been out the door. They've come to both offices, the Aurora office and the Geneva office. We're blessed that, you know, people think that we do a good job in terms of helping people get those applications. They choose us over their other options like the post office, and comes to a great benefit for the general fund. And as we've said, it's $35 for every application that we accept, and then a good chunk of those are getting their photos taken, which is another $15. So all those dollars add up at a time that the budget needs as much help as we can get. Another significant increase, we had our marriage licenses. There's about 100 more marriage licenses this year in January than last year. And if you look back historically in January, we haven't had 270 some anytime in the last 15 years. So we do, promote, it's a great time to get married for, Valentine's Day. And we push it early in January to have people come get their licenses and apply for them early. So that's working out very well. The other thing that's going on, obviously, it's every year is an election year, and this is no different. The consolidated election cycle is upon us. Most of you don't live in Aurora, so you're not voting, but the February 25th primary is open to the city of Aurora and Aurora Township voters. There are only four contests on the ballot that are just limited to the city of Aurora and Aurora Township. We've had some early voting and some vote by mail ballots returned in that race. Election day is Tuesday for that. And then we have a very quick turnaround for the April 1st consolidated election. Early voting for April 1st, and that election is open to everyone. That's your village boards and your city council positions, your library boards, your park districts, your school boards. Early voting begins on March 7th, and then the expanded early voting starts on March 17th. Just like a normal election, all our polling places will be open on election day. The expanded early voting will have all of those sites around the county, just like we normally do. The vote mobiles will be out, et cetera. So it's just on a little compressed schedule because you can't begin voting for the April 1st election until the results get finalized from the February 25th election. So if there are any, we'll have those flyers and everything like we normally have. I'll bring them to the next meeting for you guys. But as soon as the 25th election is over, next week, we'll have all the updated dates a little bit more prominent on the website. It's confusing to people when you've got one election going on and some people are eligible to vote and others aren't. So, but all that stuff should be coming up within the next week or so. We've been engaging what we call our tech judges, our supervisory judges from the last election. After each election cycle, we go through and we try to collect as much information as we can. We have information from the judges on election day. We have all of our calls that come through our call center. We evaluate issues. We've engaged our tech judges through a series of events where they've come back, and we're trying to figure out ways to help deal with lines that we had in the presidential election, so we can avoid those in the future. Better ways of processing things, ways where our equipment shortages are. I've heard a couple of people say that all the equipment was purchased, and we are grateful to the county board investing in election equipment, but that was not all the equipment we needed. That was kind of the bare minimum for an average election. And so there are shortages, and we'll get to that shortly, but we're trying to figure out where are the places we need more equipment, where are the places we need additional supplies, et cetera. And so engaging with our judge, engaging with our staff over the last couple of months, and they continue, we have more sessions coming up, it helps us to evaluate what our needs actually are going forward. With reference to the grant, there's a question about how much money is there. Treasurer Lawson or the Finance Department probably can speak better to the amount of interest, but that $2 million is in an interest-bearing account. At least 80,000, maybe probably more by now, of interest has gone back to the general fund to help the county based on that. As I've said, we've been trying to evaluate what our needs are. And so the first chunk of that money has been allocated for equipment. About 400,000 was used to purchase some equipment. So that is how some of it's spent. We do have more time to continue to evaluate what our needs are. But it is nice to say that 400,000 will help alleviate some of the pressures on the budget for you guys. So in addition, the clerk's office generated about 250,000 more to the general fund than we budgeted last year. So that's additional money that's going back to help you guys balance the budget for 2025. So of that, like I said, about 400,000 has been spent. That probably shows up in some sort of budget report, and we'll continue to evaluate the rest of that. All the money will be spent according to the grant, and we'll continue to update you as the money is spent. I did hear during one of the public comments that election judges are a couple $1,000s. I wish. We're statutorily mandated to have a certain amount of election judges for election day and for early voting. That amount is not a couple thousand, that's closer to $1 million. And again, that is mandated by state law, as is pretty much everything our office does. So I think that's what I have for you. So thank you.
I have one quick question.
Any, Mr. Sturgis?
I have three quick items. Brian, on that new equipment, I think there was and this is just a comment, I guess I'm just, there was an unintended consequence of that new equipment that we have to change the way we view things. But I really like the old days where during the election evening, you saw precincts trickling in, and it seems like this new equipment, it all just comes boom. It just, here's the download, have a great day. And somebody explained it to me, but I don't really understand that. Is that at the office level, or is that just because the new equipment downloads it all in one batch and it's just different than it was in the past? Second question is, in terms of the number of passports that we're doing, I know up in the Elgin area, up at the north end, most of our people wind up going to the post office in downtown Elgin to get it done. And if we just purchase that building for the health department off of Randall Road, I mean, if there's any suggestion or if the data matches up, that it might make sense to put an office there 1 or 2 days a week to do the passports at the north end. I think that post office is a little bit overwhelmed on how we're doing it. The final comment is that last month, thanks to Brian and Raymond, Mr. Gripe and I went down to the clerk's office, and we tried to get the information pulled together in terms of voters that registered day of for the election. And we have that information now. And my point of gathering that was I really wanted to try and validate, to either support or refute any notion that you need to be a citizen in order to vote.
but the registration process doesn't have any steps in it whatsoever to validate if you're a citizen, other than saying that if you did this falsely and you're accused behind the scenes, then there's some ramifications for doing so. But there's nothing that's proactive in the process. The next step of that was to find a way to validate those 5,000 people that had registered same day they voted, just to do it. We had agreed with the state's attorney's office and the sheriff's office to do a sampling. 5,000 people, it's not an automated process. You would think we could just say, here's this spreadsheet, here's that spreadsheet, collate them together. We can't find who has the citizenship spreadsheet and anybody at the state level that's even willing to share it with us. So the sheriff's office had said, we're willing to do a sampling, pick 100. And we, I think John and I both agreed that if there's less than a 2% or something like that, this is really, just an error. But if there was a substantial percentage, we might want to take that further. I just wanted to say thank you to Brian and Raymond for helping pull that together, and acknowledge that, but also acknowledge to the committee, we took that action and we have gone nowhere with it, because every tree we run up, we get a roadblock. So just for what that's worth. Thank you.
Do you want a response to the first two?
Sure, that'd be great. Thanks.
Okay. So I'll go backwards with the Elgin office. It's the intent that when that office is ready, the clerk's office will be having a satellite office up there, and one of the things we'll do is passports. So it's the goal. Building's not ready yet. So
well done.
And then with regard to election day reporting, yeah, we've heard that before. There's a pros and cons of the voting anywhere. So the issue is more about reporting, because explain this succinctly. If I live in Geneva and I vote in Elgin because I work in Elgin, let's say, in the old days, you knew that my precinct in Geneva was complete when the election day results made it back and were uploaded, because people voted in Geneva 1 were only voting in that polling place where Geneva 1 was located. But now, if I work in Elgin and I vote in Elgin 1, if results come in from Elgin 1 before they come in from Geneva 1, the system's going to get, there are results from Elgin 1, so we're done with all the election day votes from Elgin 1. Well, we're not, because there may be votes from Geneva 1 and St. Charles 1 and Blackberry 1. And so in order to stop the system from thinking, okay, Geneva 1 is done once 1 or 2 or 10 election day votes are counted, that's why you don't see it that way. The results do come and they do still trickle in. It's not one trench at once. The first results at 7:15 are the early and vote by mail ballots that have been processed and then are tabulated. And then there are a couple different updates during the evening. What you're used to, though, is seeing, 100% counted, or precinct 1 is done, or whatever. We can't check off the 100% done box until all the results are done, but those numbers do change. And I guess
I think
one
it
way
was
to look at
important to just verbalize that it's the vote anywhere that's allowed on the new system, and that nobody at the county level is manipulating anything. It's just, that's one of the byproducts of the new system. It's going to be a little bit delayed and seemingly like it comes in all at once, and it is what it is, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
I've noticed just watching election nights, the vote count goes up, but the percentage doesn't always. And I mean, it makes sense. If Elgin 1 is closed,
I get it now.
Geneva 1 is open and there's still 4 votes coming from Elgin 1.
That first
out of
night, I
Geneva.
didn't understand it at all. I
Yeah.
totally get it.
Yeah, it's just a different way of doing it. Actually, Ms. Lewis was next. And then
Real
Mr.
quick
Chapman.
question. Brian, what is this primary costing the county? To the
I
penny,
don't have
please.
it. I don't have an exact amount. But we have to have, we have early voting judges that have been doing this been doing it for 40 days. Not every precinct is open because it's only the precincts that are open in Aurora, but all of the City of Aurora and Aurora Township precincts are open, and we have to pay those judges per state law. Our staff to process the ballots, the election judges to be there to accept the vote by mail ballots and greet the early voters and everything. So it's a significant amount. I don't have an exact amount. We can maybe have an idea once we're done paying all the judges. Hopefully by next month, we'll have an idea. I mean, we'll be in the middle of an election, but we should be able to get to something.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be cool. Just roughly. Thank you.
Mr. Seppi.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Just as a point of information, both Gale Borden Library and Elgin Township do process passports and have been doing stuff for years. Been doing that for years.
Did not know that.
We're going to be cutting in their territory now. Mr. Gripe.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Brian, don't want to delay your conference there, but appreciate you being here today. A question. So if I understand what you said, about 400,000 of the 2 million-ish has been used for equipment and stuff like that, but it doesn't sound as of this point that there's an urgent need. I'm a visual guy, so I'm thinking, if I have a hole in my roof, I'm going to spend my savings to go fix the hole in the roof, but doesn't seem that there's an urgent need for that. So we're looking at things and figuring out what we need. So it might be implied that either A, that money could be returned, as Mr. Young, when he was speaking publicly, was saying, or could be put right into the general fund right now if there's not a need for it. Any comment?
There is an urgent need. If we'll go with your analogy, before you hire a company to fix your roof, you have it evaluated, you see where all the holes are. You don't just fix the first hole, you fix all of them, and then you try to find the best bargain you can get to do it. So it takes time. Instead of just willy-nilly saying, okay, we're going to spend here and here, you evaluate it. And, Clerk Cunningham has run the office for a long time and knows what the needs are and is best at evaluating that and, taking that information from our staff and from the people on the ground who run those elections.
Thank you. Is there an estimated time frame when that evaluation will be complete?
Like I said earlier, we're in the middle of 2 elections right now, so we're doing the best we can. But as we get through April, hopefully we'll have a little bit more time to evaluate it and get it done.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the clerk's office? All right. Thank you, Mr. Pollock, for joining us.
Thanks so much.
All right. Next up, Supervisor of Assessment, Mr. Armstrong.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to take a rare moment of just saying my report has been submitted in writing. I'd be happy to take any questions, seeing as I usually do this about 9:05 and it's 9:30 now.
Any questions for the Supervisor of Assessments? Okay. Well, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
Moving the schedule around.
My pleasure.
Accommodating for us. All right. Next up, we have the Regional Office of Education, Ms. Del Santo.
Morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. And we're excited to be talking about our Kane County Institute Day, which is the day that the teachers and parapros and administrators engage in professional learning throughout the county. So that is 1 week from tomorrow, February 28th. The majority will be out at the Q Center. We have 75 different sessions and we'll be talking about everything from staff wellness to social emotional learning to everything AI. And right now, registered at the Q Center, we have over 1,570 people that will be coming there. In addition to that, out at Central High School in Burlington, the Art Ed Institute is going to be doing a workshop for all fine arts teachers in the county. They'll have over 20 different sessions for teachers to participate in, and there are 120 people signed up for that. In addition, we have off-site places that we are partnering with Valleys, IMSA, with Fine Line, Fermilab, FONA, and the Kane County Farm Bureau. So all of those are our partners in this day and will be hosting teachers for professional learning. So if any of you have an opportunity just to stop in and see what's going on, you're always more than welcome.
And if any board members want to sign up, where do they go?
They go to our website or they call me and I'll be happy to do it for you.
All right, any questions for the Regional Office of Education? I'm going to try to make it to 1 or 2 sessions, so hopefully I'll see you guys there.
Okay.
I know Bill Roth will be there. He's going to attend like 8
I'm only 10
sessions.
minutes from the Q Center, so.
You just come.
Okay.
Okay?
All
We'll get
right.
you hooked up.
Well, thank you for being here. Veterans Assistance Commission, Mr. Zimmerman.
Good morning. My report begins on page 48 of your agenda packets. The report, pretty basic, is the first month of the fiscal year, so nothing significant or out of tolerance to report. I will note that for the month of December, we brought in $688,000 in new benefits for Kane County veterans. That's more than what our office will receive in property tax revenue to fund our operations for the entire fiscal year. Couple events that are coming up on Saturday, March 1st. There is a Women Veterans Resource Fair at the Prisco Center in Aurora. Our office will have a table there. The VA and city representatives will be there as well. On April 25th at Elgin Community College, there will be a senior resource fair. I believe that both of those flyers are already posted to our social media accounts. And then we just established a date for a veteran resource fair at the Batavia VFW on Friday, May 2nd. More to come on that. Be happy to take any questions that anybody has.
Mr. Surges.
With all of the, first off, thank you for all you do. For those of you that don't know, I think Mr. Tepe and I have both exalted Jake, award-winning department, both at the national and state level, and we appreciate everything you do. But I would be remiss if I didn't say with the new administration and everything that's going on at the federal level, there was rumors of cuts going across the board. Has that affected you? Cuts in the VA. Has that affected you in any way, shape, or form?
None of what we've seen out there in the news and what else has trickled down to any impact we've seen locally yet. There have been some folks that are laid off at Hines. Those were not, which is the VA hospital that serves our area. Those were not patient care positions from what we understand. But none of it will affect us here in our office here in Geneva. It'll just affect what the impact are services that may be available to our veterans. But nothing in stone has been communicated
Okay,
down to us or
I guess
we've seen or realized.
In dealing with you when you reported to another committee, there was a backlog that was occurring simply because of technology and files that were still in paper sitting in a warehouse rather than via computer and stuff like that. And my concern is the bottleneck that could, if you're beginning to realize that in any way, shape, or form, I'm hoping that you would not hesitate to reach out to just let us know what you're seeing and what that frustration is, so we might advocate on your behalf.
Certainly, and on page 48 of the agenda packet, that first chart is representative. We can see what the backlog looks like, and that's something we track on a monthly basis. So any VA claim that's over 125 days old, they define as being backlogged. So while the average Illinois veteran waits 146.9 days for a decision on the disability compensation claim, veterans who use our office see about a 15-day advantage on getting those processed, just because we know what needs to be submitted and we can track it and we advocate for things that we see along the way that are problems. It's still over the backlog as far as the average, but 6 days over. That's not
Did I
too out of
mention
the
how
ordinary
much
for the
we
couple of
exalted
years.
you? So
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Mr. Gray.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Chair. Jake, I just wanted to publicly thank you for the help you gave me with, he's not a constituent, he lives in DeKalb County, but Jake put me in touch with his counterparts out there for this guy who's on hospice and Agent Orange garbage going on with him and hadn't been paid by the VA. So that's been helpful, just an update for you. And he's getting claims paid, he's getting some money now. Not the hundreds of thousands that are owed to him, but it's coming through. So thank you very much. And just as having been in the service myself, I appreciate that. I like the way you guys do what you do. It ain't rocket science, but it is hard work. And you do a very good job of taking something that could be a bureaucratic nightmare and making it palatable for people. So thank you very much.
We're glad to be of service.
Any other questions for Veterans Assistance Commission? All right, thank you, Mr. Zimmerman. And with your indulgence, we're going to actually entertain a motion that I did miss under the clerk's section. I know Mr. Pollack had to leave at 9:30, so we're kind of trying to get him out the door, but there is a resolution authorizing the number of procurement cards issued to the Kane County Clerk and each of their transactional limits. So with your indulgence, I'd like a motion and a second on that resolution.
So
Debbie
moved,
moves.
Sturgis.
Sturgis moves.
Debbie seconds.
Zepi seconds. Pretty standard housekeeping. I don't think there's any discussion on this. No, clerk call the roll.
Gripe,
Gripe, yes.
Lewis,
Lewis, yes.
Sturgis,
Yes.
Pepe,
Debbie, yes.
Young,
Yes.
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes. Okay. No other business or need for executive session, so I need a motion.
Mr. Sanchez, just
Mr. Sturgis.
this is not specific to this committee, but I think up in our neck of the woods tonight at 5:30, East Dundee is putting on a presentation about storm or floodwater mitigation. And I personally am just thrilled to be able to learn a little bit about how removing a dam, what may or may not be the results of that. And I'm hoping that that's discussed tonight. I think that's 5:30 to 7-ish at the Village Hall in East Dundee. So I'll see you there.
Yeah, I should be there tonight, so. Okay, anything else from the committee? I need a motion to place the reports on file.
So moved. Gripe.
We'll just, or do you want to do?
Unanimous consent,
Okay, it's
please.
easier.
Yes.
No objection. Reports are placed on file. Now I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
Debbie moves.
Tepe moves.
Gripe second.
Gripe seconds. All those in favor say aye. Adjourn. Thank you for being here.